Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another excellent episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. In one corner, we have the monarch of Mardi Gras, the Baroness of Bourbon Street. When she's not co-hosting Ringside Society, she goes on crazy misadventures, such as getting kicked in the shins by Roxanne Perez, challenging Paige or Saraya Knight to a street fight, and also dressing up as a big boss man and trying to arrest people for petty crimes, Louisiana's own Kathy Knight. In the second corner, we have the greatest thing on God's green earth. No, we're not talking about money, Mary Jane, or Popeye Spinach. She's the trackle dart of Ringside Society, Delaware's greatest American hero. And whenever he goes to Taco Bell, he asks for a chief burrito because he loves the combination of chicken and beef. It takes two to make a thing go right. He's Rob Bass, and you are not. And the last corner, we have that ocean crossing, straight up Boston, flight catching, shot glass snatching, travels for the passion, never to be stunting, coming to you live from the city of London, no cap, straight facts, the worldwide starboy, Remy Blue. But it's not about us. You see, we have two special guests tonight, and not just any two people. We have another husband and wife duo that's kicking ass and taking names in the great state of Texas. Shout out to all our people there in Texas that are watching right now, that are listening right now, but they're doing the damn thing, making a name for themselves. Everybody, welcome to the show, the leader of the Crowley congregation, Alexander Crowley, and his wife, the mother of Mayhem, Lilith.
Woo! Thanks for having us.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good. How about you guys?
Great. Well, it's actually morning here in England, but it's probably night where you guys still are. So, yeah, you're talking to people from three different spots now. I'm in London for the night, or 2 nights. Rob is in Delaware, heading 3 different time zones tonight.
Yeah, that's a long flight for 2 days.
Yeah, but sometimes you gotta live a little.
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
So I gotta ask y'all, y'all pretty much are husband and wife duo, wrestler and manager. And I always should I ask this question? Should I ask it? You probably heard it, but if you could answer briefly, that's cool. Like, how did y'all get into pro wrestling? Like, what made y'all become fans of it? Like, what was the pay-per-view you saw, or what got you into it?
I mean, for me, I've been watching it since I was a kid, and when I was 19, I tried to go to a wrestling school back in Florida where I grew up at. And, I was a 19-year-old kid, so I wasn't really the most responsible person around. And we met about 8 years now, right? Mm-hmm. About 8 years ago. And 4 years ago, I found the Hybrid School of Wrestling here in San Antonio. And we both kind of just decided to go for it. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hybrid School, that's the one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I started the love of wrestling for me was in 1998. So it was when I moved to Texas, and you either liked football or you liked wrestling. And I liked wrestling because there was theatrics behind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's understandable. I was with Texas was a great wrestling state. Y'all have a rich history there. I mean, not just with the Von Erichs, but you have places like GWF, which I watched briefly, which is where I first saw Booker T and Stevie Ray when they were known as the Ebony Express. And you had Skandor Akbar, and even JBL, he started there as well, I think. And just a lot of great wrestling down there. And sometimes I even get jealous of Kathy because she's like, I'm going to reality wrestling. I'm going to Texas. What was it? New Texas Pro. Or I'm going to go to, now you got All Fury Pro. I'm like, man, she's seeing all these people. I'm just stuck here in New York or whatever, which New York is not bad, but it's just something about Texas, y'all just got it going on down there.
It's endless here, man. It's so big. Like, every city has probably at least at least every major city has probably at least 5 different companies minimum, running, which is great because it's a lot of opportunities for the newcomers and just, the people that have been around for a while. You always get to see new and older faces coming through companies.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of wrestling schools because you got of course you have reality wrestling, and then I believe hybrid. That's the one that's either is that the one that's run by Rodney Mack, or is it the one that's run by
that one's Dog Pound. This one's ran by Chris Marvel, and one of the educators there is Funaki.
Oh yes, yes. I believe his son is starting to wrestle there now too. Yeah, I know there's like several of them.
Yeah,
there's
Jesse.
one that there's Jesse Funaki. I know there's one. I'm familiar. You got people like I think Kalentia. That's her name.
She's there.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many great talent coming out of that school, and not just that. Like, there's really great talent that come into the school, like Tessa Blanchard. You get Thunder Rosa coming through. You get Chandler Hopkins, Red Velvet. Like, there's just, I mean, it's insane the amount of talent.
Classics like Ricky Marvin.
Yeah, Ricky. Like, there's Chase Owens comes through. There's a lot of really great names that have stopped to the school. I mean, Sasha or Monet, Bailey. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Yeah, Kalisto. There's such amazing people that come through that school to help the students grow as entertainers and wrestlers.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. Like all that talent down there is just unbelievable. Y'all make me actually want to move to Texas now, man, because y'all got like a show every other day, man. It's just crazy. But so you're both fans of wrestling now. Now how did the duo of Alexander Crowley and Lilith start? What was the point where y'all were like, hey, not only are we in this together as a married couple, we're going to be in this together. Not only are we going to do this life thing together as a married couple, we're going to do this wrestling thing together as a married couple as well too. When did it start when y'all like came together and was like, okay, y'all in trouble now. We together and y'all better look out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that is Lilith has an acting background, so she is great behind the mic and she knows how to get people behind us. And in the beginning of our career in wrestling, I was not a talker unless we're doing things like this. When it came to being to cutting promos, it just wasn't really my thing. Cutting live promos, it's still something that it's still not my thing, but I'm working on it. So that was a huge part of it, really.
Well, and we've actually, like, since we've been together, been doing things together. In our other life, we work together as well. So we just, honestly, it sounds cheesy, but we are best friends and we play very well off of each other. So the dynamic, I think, is very different than other manager wrestler characteristics. We have this energy behind us, and I think it is a lot due to the fact that we are married.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So I guess you could say that, he's not a talker, but you have an acting background, so you obviously know how to, project certain emotions to the crowd, whether it be anger, sorrow, fear. And so I guess you would be safe to say, like, you kind of when you say that, it kind of reminds me of look, I'm trying to CJ Perry and her husband. What's his Rusev. When he's like, he's not the talk, he's just this big imposing figure, and his wife is like, Rusev, Machka, and Rusev, crush, and then he goes there and just starts raining damnation on his opponents. That's the kind of vision I get when you say like the kind of vision I get with two of y'all.
Absolutely, and just like them, we've had to grow. Now you see Miro like cutting his own promos, and she's getting back into it. So I think it's important to see that growth within you and your partner, and still blend that together. Because now with me speaking in my promos, when she is able to do shows, we both speak. So it adds just a little something that we didn't have prior.
Cool. So, Lilith, do you think you'll ever decide to get into the ring and tag with your husband and mix it up against like other couples, other, male, female tag teams? Or are you just going to be like, or would you rather just be like, I'm just going to, sit over here for a bit, I'm not going to mess with the ring? Like, is there any chance we could see that in the future?
I'm actually fully trained to be in the ring, but about 2 years ago, we found out that I actually have a pretty rare syndrome that keeps me from being able to be in the ring. So after going through my full training, the doctors, and even when we did extra work for WWE, pretty much told me like I wasn't supposed to train ever. So the fact that I did it and got through it, it's great. I do know how to take a bump. I do know how to hit people. So that's what you'll see from me in a ring setting, is you just won't ever see a full match.
I think before we actually found out about that, we did have a mixed tag match scheduled, and it was going to be myself, Lilith versus Izzy James and Insidious. Yeah, and it was going to be a big show, and it was going to be
amazing.
We were all really stoked, and then we found out about her, and then I think the beginning of the month I ended up breaking my collarbone, so that whole thing kind of just went down the drain.
Wow. Well, I'm so sorry that happened to y'all. I'm sure that would have been a banger of a match. I know Kathy would have been in front there with her little Insidious shirt cheering on, and you guys would have probably wanted to go and put a whooping on her too. But I keep telling you, Kathy, you keep antagonizing people. We don't have health insurance here at Ringside Society. I don't know why you keep doing these death-defying things. Our shirts aren't really selling that much. Anyways, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that would have been a banger of a match, and I'm not just saying this. Y'all definitely would have torn the house down. But I'm kudos, to you, Lilith, on get that training done. And even when you had that condition, I'm sorry you had it, and but at least it's great to see that hasn't stopped y'all from actually, still keeping with the wrestling business as a couple and so on. So, kudos to y'all on that as well too. Yeah. So, with that being said, now I just have a few more questions before I turn it over to Rob. I know Rob has a couple of questions for y'all as y'all too. So, my second to last question. Let's say if a female and a male couple, let's male and female, husband and wife, they're like, hey, we want, or boyfriend and girlfriend or wherever, they're in a relationship, and they approach y'all and say, hey, you guys are awesome out there, we want to do what y'all are doing as a couple, in pro wrestling. What advice would you give that couple that wants to do what you're doing, or not like you, but like just wants to follow in the footsteps of Lilith and Alexander Crowley?
Honestly, constructive criticism is a must if you're going to do this, because there's areas that I'm really strong in, and there's areas he's really strong in, and sometimes when we do the other, it doesn't go as well. So being able to have that communication with your partner, be it your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever it may be, you have to understand that there's a lot of communication that has to be dealt between both of you, and that this life is very hard. It's just a lot of traveling, and sometimes you're together, sometimes you're with others in a vehicle, or however it may be. Especially if you're starting out, you're not going to be flown places immediately, so you have to put a lot of money into it and make sure that you both are there to support each other, because there's going to be times where one of you doesn't think you're good enough. And that, at least for me, that's what I think I would bring to another couple that's wanting to come in.
Yeah, I think communication is very important. I think that and making sure that you're on the same page when it comes to the content and the personas you're creating, because it needs to make sense. It needs to blend together. You know, I think that was something that worked really well with us, is we're both into a lot of the same things. So when it came to creating these, you know, these characters, it was pretty easy. But I think also, you know, constructive criticism is also very important, because at the end of a match, I'll ask her, hey, like, what do you think I could have done better, or we could have done better, me and my opponent? Because she's always involved when it comes to, you know, calling the match. Like, I always have her there with me, so she knows to keep an eye on things in case something goes awry, or in case something doesn't pan out how we had hoped that it would. You know, that way we've got that third person to say, oh, you guys could have done this better, or you could have done that better. Because you're not always going to have somebody there to tell you that.
And I'm honest. You gotta be honest.
Yeah, you don't have to be mean, but you
Just
can
honest.
be honest. And yeah, I think being able to understand that you're going to be together a lot. You know, like she mentioned, like we've traveled a lot of different places together, whether in the States or out of the States when we used to do hair. And you're going to be stuck in a car with each other for hours on end. And if you can't deal with that, or you can't make that work, it's really not going to be a successful partnership. Because really that's what it comes down to, is when you're mixing your personal life with your business life, you go from being, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and wife or whatever you are, to being business partners. So everything needs to be understood by the other, and you have to be on the same page. So I think a lot of it really is communication when it comes down to it.
That's awesome. That's great. So for those of you that are looking to get into, you know, the wrestling business as a couple, you just got some great advice from a couple that's doing it big in pro wrestling. So whatever you do, record this part, edit, if you could chop, cut, whatever, save this part. Anything else, any other advice you want from them, you probably got to hit up their PayPal or Cash Apps, because time is money, and you know they're busy people. So you got a little something from the mother of Mayhem and the leader of the Crowley congregation. As a matter of fact, speaking of those two cool nicknames, you know, I gotta ask y'all, man. So my final question, I'm always curious. You know, I'm a guy I love music. I'm a multi. I don't know if it's multifaceted, or I don't know. I like different kinds of music. You know, my playlist is crazy, but you know, I gotta ask, man. You know, what is on your music playlist when y'all are getting those workouts done? What do the mother of Mayhem and the leader of the Crowley congregation listen to whenever they're at the gym, or whenever they're getting ready to face their opponents at the next event?
Oh, I used to have a Lilith playlist.
Yeah,
but it's a lot of Falling in Reverse and metal, a lot of metal. And you know, we're older, so anything early 2000s screamo emo is constantly on our playlist. Never leaves.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. I listen to a lot of metal really when it comes to working out. I need something loud. I need something aggressive to really just get me in that zone. I've tried other types of music. You know, we both have a very open music library. I mean, hers is way more than mine. Mine kind of just goes heavy metal, death metal, 80s hair metal, and that's about as far as it goes. So yeah, it's got to be something loud. It's going to be something angry, something that's going to really just get me going.
Oh, okay. You know what? When I think of loud and angry, but at the same time like sentimental, I always think of one of my all-time favorite tracks that I always have to have, no matter what phone I have. It's called "Broken Down" by Seven Dust, and you can feel the emotion from LaJohn Witherspoon, the lead singer, with the way he's like, you know, just singing that song. And I'm like, when I first heard it, I'm like, I gotta get this song up on my playlist. This is my workout song until the day I die. This is it right here. And every phone I have had.
Yeah. There's that one song there's always that one song in the playlist that you're like just waiting to come on when you're, you know, where you're pushing the hardest, or like your favorite workout. You know, we all have a favorite thing that we like to do. So like for me, whenever I'm working out a specific muscle, like I love working my backs, like I want to make sure that I'm listening to like something that's really going to get me going, to keep me pushing harder. So I agree with you, man. We all have that one song, and I think it makes it that much more special when it comes on. You know, you got to have a big playlist and it just comes on and you're like, oh, there it is.
It's time to go hard.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rob. I know Rob has a couple questions for you. Rob, go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
All right, sweet. Thanks, Remy. So what's going on, guys? How's that Texas weather treating y'all?
Wet.
It's very
Wet.
rainy.
Okay, yeah, because see, I think that rain is moving over to the East Coast, and we're supposed to get that like tomorrow or something. So.
Oof. Yeah, I think
It's
tomorrow.
terrible.
I think
we clear up tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
But
So
we've
yeah,
been flooding.
so
for
it
days.
goes to you guys tomorrow, and
Yeah.
then it leaves us. So that's great. I'm happy about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we had a real bad snowstorm. It was like 20, like the lows at one point were 13 degrees, and now today it was like 40, and then tomorrow it's gonna be like 55, 60 with rain. So all the snow's gonna be gone, thankfully, though. So you know,
Right.
I might get sick. So you know, hey, you know, you know, going from 13 to 60, you know.
Yeah, that's a pretty big jump.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now, y'all were talking about, you know, music real quick, you know, on this stuff. And when I put y'all's thing, you know, promote the show and all my stories, you know, I had to go with the old school Ozzy Osbourne, Mr. Crowley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to do that. You know, I know it's cheap, you know, the cheap pop or whatever. But hey, you know, I thought it did.
It's a great song.
Yeah, I like Ozzy. Ozzy, cool, man. I like him, the collaboration with him and Motorhead and stuff, you know, when they would get together. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you know, I have like one of those, you know, music tastes. You know, I can, you know, metal, or hip hop, all, you know, everything. You know, it don't matter to me. You know,
Right.
I
As
can
long as
be
it's
jamming. You know, I'll be jamming the Scarface. You know, and then the next song on my Spotify thing will be like Faster Pussycat, and then you know Metallica, and then you know here you go. I got Weird Al, so you know.
we just watched his
Mockumentary.
yeah.
Oh, the with Harry Potter, the dude that played Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet. Is it any good?
it's
Yes,
worth
it's-
watching.
Okay.
A trip.
Yeah, I was the end really annoyed me, but overall, it's an entertaining movie. He does fantastic. Daniel Radcliffe.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah. Yeah, I see. Yeah, he does that. He has this one show I've seen. In like the end of times, Miracle Workers. I've seen it on Hulu. I've watched like a season or two of that. It's pretty funny. That show's wild, man. So anyway, you know, going on, you know, earlier you were talking about, you know, training and stuff. Now, Lilith, you were saying, you know, you trained, and after you trained, you know, you found out, you know, you had like a disability, you know, like something wrong, you know, stuff going on and all. Well, you know, I see. I feel you with that because I had this like I trained and all, but I had some like this internal bleeding thing, you know, and stuff, you know, cirrhosis of the liver and stuff, and
Oof.
you know, I found that out early, and I was like, well, you know, getting into wrestling or whatever, it would never be for me. And then, you know, 20 years later, I meet, you know, Sean Carlson, all them. And they're like, oh, we can train you to ref, you know, ringing and all that good stuff, you know. And then, hey, I learned how to do that stuff. You know, I learned how to run the ropes, and you know, learned how to throw punches and all. You know, they're crappy. My bumps and punches are crappy, and you know, but you know, I learned how to do it, and I was like, wow, you know. 20 years later, you know, training at 38, you know, I'd had 5 heart attacks a session, you know, because I partied, you know, slept all day, up all night those years. But
Right.
yeah. How, you know, do you tell people about that? You know, like, do they look at you like, man, you know, like an inspiration? Like, if you can go through that, you know, I could do that too. Has anybody ever, told you that, or you know, said anything to that about you?
Honestly, I think I've gotten more of that just being a strong woman in wrestling. I get a lot of little girl fans who want to be as mean as I am to boys, kind of thing, which I think is great. We've only really addressed my condition through podcasts. I don't even think I ever addressed it on social media, on my Lilith social media. I did it on my personal, and that was about it. But the more people I tell about it, it's actually helping people realize they may have it as well, because
Okay.
it's considered rare in the United States, but overseas it's not. So it's something that goes with European blood.
Okay, I gotcha.
The more people I talk about it, the more people react to it. But for the most part, I think I get more of a reaction from people just wanting to be like me when it comes to confidence, which
Okay.
I'll take.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got charisma. What do the young kids say now? Riz. You got the Riz.
Oh,
Isn't that what they say?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know that kid talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm good. I still say word, sweet. That's me.
Yeah.
I was born in '82. I'm in my 40s. I'm like, when I was a kid, the people that were so like, yo, groovy. Far out. So, you guys, being husband and wife, y'all were mentioned, traveling everywhere together, just, riding in cars and stuff. Where's like the farthest you traveled so far in the United States? Sometimes people forget, Texas is a huge state, because I've had friends go there and like, they'll be like, oh man, I was driving 8 hours. Like, where in the world are we? It's like, oh, we're still in Texas. Like,
Yeah.
you're used to hear like in Delaware, you drive 8 hours and, you're like 12 states away and stuff, Like, how far have y'all gotten, Have you gotten, East, West Coast yet,
I think for wrestling specifically, the furthest we've traveled, like driven specific, was Oklahoma City. Yeah, we did a show in McAllister, but we were the other place in Oklahoma, McAllister, but we were flown for that one. So that's the one thing that makes it rough, is with her having what she has, she can only do drives for a certain amount of time. So really, typically, the most we've driven is about 4 or 5 hours.
Well, that's typical. The most we've ever driven was 8.5 one way.
Yeah, and that's when we did Oklahoma. Yeah. But for the most part, it's if somebody wants to book us, we usually have to request to be flown. Which in the wrestling industry, unless you are a big name, it's a little bit more difficult to get. But we're happy with working with the companies that we're working with and doing the shows that we're working. I mean, there's so much in Texas, and we still haven't even hit 50%. I think.
Yeah, that's awesome right there. Yeah. I don't mind, staying local and all that good stuff. Now, being there in Texas, a couple days ago, I was watching the X-Files, and they had an episode about the chupacabra. Now, in y'all's travels in Texas and stuff, have y'all come across anything crazy? Anything you can share? Or is it pretty much, it's been a chill, the normal stuff,
I mean, you'll go into small towns, USA, and you're going to see some weird stuff. That's just what it is. We did drive through one city where it was considered a Bigfoot hub. And
okay.
I am an enthusiast. So I did a lot of Googling while we were there. And the most recent sighting at that point was a few months prior to that. So I was on the lookout, but never saw anything per se. And we did see some weird, like either weather balloon. It was that giant weird balloon thing going down towards the border. And that was weird. I took a picture of that because it was just in the middle of nowhere, but it wasn't a hot air balloon, but it was shaped almost like a plane.
Like, do you remember that Michelin Man thing that you see at like the football?
But it had wings.
Yeah, it was really
was weird.
Yeah. I know, like, she brings up the Bigfoot thing. Like the town that we drove to, I think it was called Cold Spring. Was it Cold Spring?
Yes, that was Cold Spring.
You have to drive through this like 2-lane street that's just super long, and it's just trees. You're on it for quite some time, and it's just trees. So obviously, like I'm driving, and she's just staring at all the trees. She's like, all right, well, you look on that side, and I'll look on that side. I was like, I'm driving, I can't really look. But even the most fascinating thing about that specific town is, I think, like a couple years prior, they were still like hanging people. If you were doing something, like a robbery or manslaughter or whatever, like that was still a thing they did in this town.
And they had a tree in town.
Yeah, it was like called the hang tree, and that's where they would hang the felons and stuff, which is like unbelievable. That was still, but I mean, it's Texas, so almost shouldn't be surprised, but it's just like holy.
But the town itself was odd, just all the way around.
It was an odd little town. Very odd little town.
Now you see, I don't blame you. I'll be looking for Bigfoot too. I've seen a lot of stuff on Bigfoot and all. I remember reading the thing back in the day that Bigfoot has been spotted in every state in the U.S. except Delaware and Hawaii. You know, I was like, all right, yeah, I can see Delaware because we're cut off at a bridge or whatever, and for Bigfoot to come over, he's got to like cross some rivers and the Chesapeake Bay and stuff. You know, so I don't think Bigfoot's trying to do that. So.
Right, he's not trying to get super noticeable.
Yeah, he ain't trying to do all that. But, you know, that UFO thing, you know, I've seen a UFO too. I was at, you know, we have a NASCAR thing here, and I remember a UFO thing came by and it sent me a message in big, bright yellow letters. It told me I was going to have a good year. I was like, all right. But then, you know, they kind of lied, you know, it wasn't that good of a year. It was all right, you know. And the crazy thing was I was the only one freaking out about it. You know, everybody's like, oh, calm down. Well, sending me a message. What are you doing?
What are you on? And can I have some?
That's right. Well, it's NASCAR, so you know everybody there drinking at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Everybody gets there, you know. So you know, doing y'all stuff, you know, coming out of training, man. I gotta ask, you know, what was your first match like? Were y'all, you know, booked together, you know, for your first match? Were you booked separately? And you know, what was the match like? Do y'all have a different perspective of how the match went or whatever? And if the match is out there, can you find it on YouTube, or is it like, you know, buried in a vault somewhere?
It is on YouTube. It was you against Garrison.
Yeah, it's on the Hybrid School of Wrestling's YouTube. And it was December 2020. I think December 6th, 2020. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just how different we are now than we were appearance-wise, yeah. I think the match was
I thought it was a great first match.
But I think what happens, you know, the biggest difference between being a wrestler then and being a wrestler now is when you're at a school full time, you have the resources to go over what you're going to do with your partner over and over. I mean, me and my opponent went over the match, I think at least 10 times. And it got to the point to where we didn't even have to talk. It was just like we knew exactly what needed to be done because we have gone over it so much. And it's funny because when we first started, you know, we looked like this. So everybody was, you know, we were heels everywhere. And we just slowly started getting cheered and became a little bit more popular everywhere we went. And so started, you know, changing little things here and there to go more into like being the good guys or the anti-heroes. But yeah, you can definitely find the match. It was, I love it. I still think
that was, you knocked his lights out at one point with one of the knees you did. It's still to this day one of his prettiest knees he's ever done.
Oh,
and it was in a slow-mo clip.
That's right.
I still talk about that knee because it was just he had ups.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
I was young, right? My knees didn't beat me yet, so it was fun. But yeah, you can definitely find it on Hybrid School of Wrestling's YouTube.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Yeah, man. I guess you know, back in the days, you know, pandemic days or whatever, man. You know, we were, you know, a little more limber, I guess, or something.
Yeah, right, dude. Not anymore.
I know, man. So when is y'all's next match? Do you have anything coming up this weekend? You know, next week, are you booked for you know, next, you know, couple weeks?
No, we're actually we're taking this next month off. Just do stuff, you know, around the house. That's the tough part is when you're working full time and you're wrestling on the weekends, you know, things kind of fall apart around your house. So we decided that was going to be our big thing this next month, but I'll be back. We'll be back down in the ring in I think March 6th at Combat Cult. down in Weslaco, so down in the valley, and that's about a 4-hour drive from here. But that's one of the companies that we've been working with they're about a year old now.
But since their first show?
Yeah, since I think their first or second show, yeah. But it's been great. The partnership with the promoter and the company has been awesome. They've really kind of just let us be ourselves and let us put a lot of ourselves into the stories that we get put into. So that's always really appreciated.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's cool. Now, when I was doing research, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen pictures of you with the blacked out eyes and stuff, and I've seen that, I had to get my friend, Buddy Christ or whatever from Clerks and stuff, and Dogma, maybe watch my back just in case, And then I've seen your church and stuff and all that stuff, and then those promos, it's like I might not sleep tonight, I might, if I do, it'll be like a couple hours, but I was looking at that, and I'm like, man, y'all got to be big on the horror stuff and all. So I gotta ask, what are y'all's favorite or like horror movies, horror shows? Are y'all watching anything right now, or seen anything recent?
No, I'm not allowed to watch horror movies anymore.
Oh,
she gets nightmares.
Okay.
So if we do watch a horror movie, it's like at noon with all the lights on, sun out,
and something nice.
And then afterwards, we have to watch something like funny. I think one of the last things we ever watched, and it wasn't even really scary to me at least, and it wasn't scary at all. But it was that show Salem. I don't know if you ever got into it. There was a scene in one of the final episodes where they banished a witch, and then she got eaten to death by crows as she was leaving the town. The next day I had to travel, and this is when I used to travel to teach hair. And we lived downtown at the Pearl in San Antonio, and she went to the coffee shop to have a breakfast, and Black Bird got on her table and tried to take her food. Mm-hmm. So this nice little old man came and helped her.
He saved me.
And saved her. And so that was kind of the last time. And that's about.
We watch paranormal.
Yeah, but that's not really scary. Okay.
I mean, that's scary to some people.
Yeah.
I like real life ghosts, and I like documentaries about real life ghosts.
But I feel like a horror movie is way different than a ghost documentary.
Well, I like Paranormal Activity.
All right. I mean, okay, sure. It's way different, but yeah. So it's been a while since I wanted to see that movie Smile, and she won't watch that.
Man, look, yeah, that's one. Yeah, watch that one at noon, because I watched it at night one time. The first 10-15 minutes, I was just like, whew, all right, yeah. The girl that's on the thing is in the first 15 minutes, I was like,
yeah.
That whole movie, I was like, man, I couldn't sleep. It was
yeah, she wouldn't watch the trailer.
It would come on, and I would turn my head.
Yeah, and then there was a series, The Purge. They came out with a TV series. She wouldn't watch that. I'm a huge fan of the Wrong Turn series.
Okay.
And she just won't. So yeah, man, I'm pretty fluffed out nowadays with movies. It's comedy or rom-coms or sometimes dramas.
Sometimes.
Mostly a lot of sci-fi though. We do love a lot of sci-fi. But again, it's ghost documentaries, aliens, serial killer documentaries, just all
those are my jam.
Yeah, cult documentaries, we watch a lot of documentaries. And it's funny because in my 20s, you would have never caught me dead watching a documentary.
Oh yeah. Netflix is good for that. They have a lot of them. I'll go on there. Yeah, I'll do the same thing. It'd be a mafia one, a serial killer one or something. I'm like, oh man.
Netflix. There's another one. What is it?
Tubi.
There's Tubi is a good one for documentaries. Okay. Yeah, and it's free. Just got it. They're only down, commercials, but it is what it is. It's free. You can't.
Yeah. I have friends that they watch the serial killer documentaries all the time and stuff, and they'll swear to me that they can get away with murder because they watch people getting caught by murder. I'm like, I don't think that works out like
Yeah,
I think you would get caught just like them.
Yeah, I think you watch enough of those and you're like, all right, I can do this. But really, let's be.
Or you can solve.
Or you can solve it, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm gonna do either. So like,
I'm usually wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm bad at those. The ones where you got to pick the killer out and all that stuff. I'm bad at that too. Even in the movies too, I'm like, it's that person, and I'm like, wow, I was way off.
I think we're usually pretty good at in movies. When it comes to movies, is kind of figuring out.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. I like to be. I'll watch a certain amount of the movie, and then at some point, I'll be like, all right, I think this is what's going on, and like this is the person, and this is what's going on, and sometimes it's like, oh shit, like I was spot on, or I'm close enough. I'm like, that's a win. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Like, I sometimes I can't put two and two together, man. Law enforcement was not a career for me. I'm like one of the most least observant people ever. I was like, yeah, okay. So anyway, before I hand it off or tag Kathy in, I just want to say thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy schedule, coming on chatting with us. I hope you all get to kick more butt, around Texas. I hope you get to collect more gold, start dominating. I hope you get those flights, from the East to West Coast. I hope you get to travel or wherever you need to go, achieve them dreams, get your house fixed up, and all that good stuff.
Thank you, man.
All right, Kathy.
All right, thanks, Rob. What's up, Lilith and Alexander? How's your Wednesday so far, besides it being wet and everything
Super
outside?
It's raining again.
It's
now.
like
right now.
Raining.
Yeah, I had the same thing too in Louisiana. It's been raining all day. I think it stopped right now. So I was like, I hope I don't lose power during that would have been the worst.
There's been a lot of little power outages here. Like we've been lucky enough where it's come back, go out and comes right back in. So it's not too bad. We do have a clock that's battery operated, so like we can always tell the time, even if we have no power.
I have all of them too that are battery operated. I'm like, what time is it?
Yeah, you have to. You gotta have that backup.
Yep. So Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and you guys being husband and wife, everybody loves a good love story. So how did you two meet in the first place?
Oh boy.
I'll tell it because it's my fault technically. So we met through Instagram back in 2016. He taught a class when he was an educator in the hair world. He taught a class at my friend's barbershop in Dallas. And I saw a picture of him on their Instagram. And I thought he was just a stylist working there. So I started lurking him. And I had one of my girlfriends lurk even further back to see if, one, he was in a relationship, or two, he was gay, because that's something that happens in the hair world more often than you would think. It turned out he had neither, or was neither. And I got a little intoxicated one night and decided to reach out and tell him that he should come do a class at my salon. And that kind of just led into us talking more often than not talking. And like 2 months or a month into us talking, I decided to make the trip to Chicago, where he lived, never meeting him, mind you, and flew up there to meet him. And ever since then, we were kind of inseparable. And we did long distance for
about 8 months.
8 months, and then he moved down to Texas.
Yeah. So she stalked me until I gave in.
It works every time.
She lassoed you in.
Yeah.
The Texas term there.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome. So you mentioned you do hair. Both of y'all have done hair. And I'm going to drop a name here. Alexander did Finn Balor's hair when he went to Raw in San Antonio. So that's pretty awesome. That's one of my favorites.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. I've been doing his hair now for about 5 years. Yeah. So anytime he comes into town, I get that text, hey, you're out? And I'm like, yeah. So usually I'll go meet him and I'll cut his hair before the show. And man, he's just like one of the nicest, most down to earth guys you'll ever meet. Like he's exactly what you would expect from like this Irish guy. It's great.
What do y'all talk about wrestling, or what do y'all talk about when you cut his hair?
When
Something else?
Yeah, when it's me and him, we usually will talk a little bit about wrestling. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on with him and, and the Judgment Day, because I think it's just such an interesting dynamic they've got going on. But honestly, 9 out of 10, we're just talking about like what both being married and what it's like to, have a home with your partner and
the silly things your wife buys.
Yeah, it's just, it's mostly just making fun of our significant others and just telling fun little stories, something that his wife made him do that he typically wouldn't do, himself, or vice versa. So there's always going to be a little bit of wrestling and conversation when it's something that you both do. But it definitely comes down to just, catching up. We see each other, maybe
a few times a year.
Yeah, maybe 2-3 times a year, if that. So yeah, it's just that fun little catch up of like, hey, how's the wife? Oh, how's the wife? What's been going on? Like, so yeah, it's great.
That is nice. You get to catch up with him every now and then, because they do travel a lot, and it's probably hard to be in contact with him outside of wrestling and getting his haircut. So
yeah,
it's good to get to catch up.
Yeah, it's nice. And every time he goes to like a new city, if he doesn't know somebody, 9 out of 10, I'll know at least 1 or 2 people that I'll send him their contact, and hopefully, that kind of works out for them.
Yeah, you get to tell him he likes this sort of cut, like do it, this number on the razor. Like
it's very specific.
That's awesome.
His hair.
So Lilith also does hair. Gonna name drop again because we mentioned her earlier. You've done the Insidious one, Sid Mars' hair before. I've seen that on social media. Rob's still scared of her. We had her on the show before.
She's a sweetheart. Her looks are, she can be scary looking, but she's a sweetheart.
Kathy, Rob, how could you be scared of Insidious? But yet, when Alexa Bliss popped out of that box at WrestleMania, you felt. You know what? I'm done. I'm done.
It happens sometimes. I mean, I remember doing a show with Mother Endless one time, and she got excited because I said I was a Virginian, and she misinterpreted what I said, because I was like, oh yeah. Never mind.
Boy. So yeah, speaking of Sid and Izzy, I think that's where I've seen you the most. Like I was trying to figure out where I knew you from. Like it's social media, obviously, and being like I go to Texas shows and stuff. I'm sure I like scrolled through and probably saw y'all on social media. But Sid and Izzy used to talk about y'all a lot too. And then I have a friend, Ryan Romano. He would talk about you guys a lot. So I would see like his posts and stuff too. So I think that's how I became a fan of you guys. So small little world.
Right. Yeah, I would love Ryan. He's awesome. Yeah, he always would come to PPW shows, and it was always a good time to see him. That's when we would see him and stuff. And then, I mean, Izzy and Sid, we've known since before we graduated. And him and I, when he before he became the gutter snake, him and I talked about working together, doing a tag team. And then he went and changed a bit. So but yeah, I mean, we've known them I think probably almost 4 years now. And yeah, we've been friends with them. They've been great. And he was very helpful on Saturday, gave me some really good advice. And so I always appreciate that. I always appreciate colleagues and friends, that we do shows with, that kind of, have the time to, there's so much happening backstage, so it's when they have the time to sit down and watch what you're doing, and then you get to the back and give you some great feedback, or some not great feedback, but still great feedback, because okay, well, I need to work on this, I need to work on that, or like, this is great, okay, I need to remember that, and I need to keep doing that. So things like that are always just appreciated.
Yeah, there was one time, so this whole like cage match thing happened because after the show of one of Sid Mars's matches, she asked everybody, how's my match? And me being me, like picking at her, I was the one that, everybody was like, oh, it's a good match. I was like, it sucked. She's like, wait, I'm coming back. So she goes and she brings her suitcase to her car. She comes back, she gets in my face, and she's like, me and you in a cage match. Like, okay.
You're like, yeah, we'll do that. You'll be in the cage and I'll be outside.
Yeah.
That's it.
So there was a cage match at Reality of Wrestling one time, and I was like, where are you, Sid? Come on, they didn't take it down yet.
Oh boy.
So she's like, well, you won by I forfeited. I mean, I'll give you that one. Yeah, they're good people. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So Lilith she has short hair now and blonde hair, but you had long hair, you've had red hair, and you've had black hair. So you're rocking the blonde now, and it's shorter.
Yes, the shortness is just because when you go from black to blonde, it does not last. This is actually closer to my natural hair color, and I just wanted to change. I felt like it was a good time to change it up. I'd been black haired for 7.5 years, and it's very hard when you're this light naturally to color it every 2 weeks. So I just decided it was time to change, and what better time to do it than while we were kind of in this a bit of middle ground of transitioning from it being constantly us two to just him and me at bigger matches, so to speak. So people have seen it recently. I was wearing a wig for a while until it got long enough to where I was comfortable wearing it just like this. But I mean, it'll be long again.
Yeah. It'll grow.
I'll be blonde, but it'll be very scary and Lilith-like soon.
Can't wait to see it. You're rocking it right now. You're rocking those other colors too. I saw on your Instagram page. So like, I think you can pull off any color.
I've done almost all. So yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah, if you go far enough
you'll
on her other page, you'll see all the different colors
green,
she's
purple.
been.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory of being a hairstylist. That's just what they do. I don't. I just keep it this. I've been blonde. If you go far enough on mine, you'll see some blonde, but I never did the multicolored or exhausting things.
Yeah, keeping black hair is pretty simple, I guess.
Yeah, just my natural. I just my sides every couple days, and I'm good to go.
Now, y'all being hairdressers, do you do each other's hair, or like who does whose hair?
We did for years. We did.
Yeah.
He's a terrible client.
Yeah, I can't sit still. So she does every once in a while, especially probably over the next month, since I won't really be doing a lot of shows. I probably won't shave my sides. So when it's time to really get in there and get it, like she'll do that for me. But that's very far and few between. Actually, one of our spare bathrooms, I've got one of those like 3-way mirror setups. So most of the time I'm in there like shaving my sides myself, and I'll cut her hair and she'll trim mine when it's needed. I don't do color, so it's usually her color. It's usually her or one of the girls from the salon that help her out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a lot of trust there. Having to cut each other's hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does do good at cutting my hair.
I won't do the coloring. It's too much. That's too much work.
Well, she's got her friends to do it, so there you go.
Exactly. Yeah. she's got her people.
There you go. So both of you have a lot of tattoos, and we could talk about them if you want to, because they always fascinate me because I don't have any tattoos. So they always say like once you get your first one, it's addictive. So apparently it is, because y'all are like, I mean, Alexander's covered in them. Yeah. Lilith has a few, like, half a sleeve on her shoulders and stuff.
I have a full sleeve.
A full sleeve. Oh, there you go.
I have most of my body's done in pieces, but
okay.
You only see it when I'm in gear.
Yeah, I think you've got like 4. Is it?
I've got the front of my legs, the back of one leg, my back, my arms, my stomach.
No, your little stars.
Y'all are.
Oh, you're the one, yeah.
Both covered in tattoos, then.
Yeah. It becomes a very expensive hobby.
Well, if you want to, you don't have to show them, but if you want to talk about them, go ahead.
Of course, I chose to wear a
chose
shirt
to
that completely
yeah.
covers all of me. I mean, mine, the ones that are, all of mine have meaning, except for my very, very first one, which is a star on my hip, like all little scene girls got back in the day. But all of mine have meaning. Some that mean the most to me. I got a portrait of my dad because he passed away. I'm like, can't see it. There.
Yeah, can see it.
He passed away about 5 years ago, right before I started wrestling school. It was kind of one of the reasons why I decided to do it was because he passed unexpectedly. And I was like, well, we have one life, so might as well. The rest, like my sleeve is all dedicated. It's all very colorful. It's dedicated to my grandfather, my grandfather who passed away as well, but he was in World War II, lived till he was like 95. So old life, and said this is the only tattoo he will ever love because he was not a tattoo person. And then
Your color brush.
I got my color brush for doing hair, and it says self-made because in that world you're self-made. And then this is my first marriage divorce tattoo, and I actually made him buy it for me and sit there while I got it.
There you go.
And then the rest are all, I would say, more not as meaningful as those. My other half sleeve is all the flowers of all the women in my life's favorite flowers. And then my legs are different versions of me and different careers I've been in. So one was a hairstylist, the other one's in the music world because for a time in my life I was a music manager as well.
And then you've got our logo,
I do have our logo on my wrist.
That's the logo for our gear company or our clothing company, which is the Cultic Clothing.
You have it on your bag.
Yeah, I have it on my big back piece. Mine's just a bunch of hodgepodge of shit. I've got a whole Nightmare Before Christmas sleeve because I wouldn't be some, tattooed scene kid without one. I've got my knuckles, pretty much everything. I've got a blackout Japanese style sleeve. I've got Love Will Tear Us Apart on my throat. I've got like a devil goat on my stomach, satanic cross on my leg. I'm a huge fan I've always been a huge fan of this band Aiden. That goes back to like my teenage years, and they did a cover album where it was like a cover of like the Misfits and a couple other bands. I think it was mainly the Misfits. But when you open up the booklet, it's back in the day when you'd buy a CD and you'd open up the booklet. And so you'd open it up and it was like this horror movie scene. So there's the singer was a killer priest. One of them was a Frankenstein, Dracula. So all those horror movie classics. So I've got that tattooed on my leg. And then I've got this big, like, I guess traditional, right? Yeah. Traditional like demon girl on my back. And then I don't know, I think it's this side, right? Yeah. This side, I have a flower with a pair of scissors going through it because of hair. And then I've got my mom's name on my thumb. Can't really see it. Yeah, it's hard to see. But yeah, I've got her name. Yeah, so I've got just a lot of tattoos. Like they all kind of just run into each other. Like from my stomach up, it all connects like through my arms, through my throat, and like all the way up underneath my chin. So it's just all one big piece. So in reality, I have like 4 tattoos. One of them's just really big.
Yeah, I saw they're all connected. Did you just go like, hey, I want to go get a tattoo, and then that's how you got them all?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. The downside to it is, I work out like 4 days a week and I do a lot of core. So I'm like, all right, Stu, like I want to have abs, but it doesn't matter because you can't see them. So it's like, well, what are we going to do about that? It is indeed.
They'll kind of look like a Sharpie, like you wrote it in
Yeah,
Sharpie.
it'll just make my goat look all distorted.
Yeah,
So,
you'll get some abs, and it'll just like pop out where your tattoos are.
yeah, exactly. My poor goat's gonna look all deformed.
Yeah, like the horns are gonna be like popping out and stuff.
Yeah, just like the waves from the
Yeah.
exactly. So I still try to keep, try to keep in as best shape as I can. And but yeah, there's definitely muscles and veins you can't see because I'm so covered in tattoos. I see my friends who aren't tattooed and they're super vascular, and you can see their abs and you can see their chest, and I'm like, man, the hell. And it's like, on me, you can see my veins, but you have to like look really close. Like you have to get real close and you can see them kind of pop out, but like it's not great for TV.
Yeah, you'd have to look through your tattoo to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, there's my arm tattoo, my arm vein.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about names and how you got them. Lilith goes by the Mother of Mayhem. So how did you get the name Lilith and the Mother of Mayhem?
So Lilith is, if you're into religious lore at all, you know that Lilith was actually Adam's first wife. And she was cast out because she wasn't going to be subservient to him. So my background story that we came up with was that when I was casted out, the original lore is that I found Lucifer. In ours, I find him, and I felt he was stronger than Lucifer, so therefore I chose him. The Mother of Mayhem, when we first came onto the scene, one, I've been called mom my whole life by literally everybody, but I was kind of in charge of the demons. So I kept the demons at bay like a mother would. And then when I said they could be released, they could be. Crowley is in charge of everyone.
So the Crowley name actually was given to me by an old colleague of mine from the school. I was trying to come up with different names, and I really liked the name Alexander, but I just couldn't think of anything at all, really. And I was originally going to go with Grimes, but then, Cameron Grimes came onto the scene. And so the guy suggested Crowley. So I really liked it, and I started doing some research on it. And obviously, like, the first thing that came to mind was the song, which I didn't know who or what it was about. And then I'm also a big fan of Supernatural. And there's a character on Supernatural named Crowley, which is where I got the blackout eyes idea from. And so I started doing some research, and, the original Crowley was, he created a religion named Magic, and it was essentially just like not Satanism, but more of like self-love and very open relationship kind of thing. It was just this whole crazy thing he had come up with. And I really the name just really dug, like it really made sense with the character that we were kind of trying to come up with. The idea of the Death Dealer was, I think it was more of, it kind of went in hand with hers, it's like where there is mayhem, there is death, right? So once the match was over, everybody is considered to be dead because of losing to me. So there's a lot of different little puzzle pieces that kind of bring everything together. But then the persona comes in handy with a little bit more of the cult aspect. I started doing a lot of research on Jamestown and David Koresh and all these different, all these different cult leaders. And that's really where it came out. When we first started, it was actually the cult of Crowley. And obviously as we've gotten more into it and it evolved into the Church of Crowley, which is why we have our specific church now. So there's so many little aspects of it that are just little ideas that are all brought together to create, what we are now. So that's why one of the monikers we go to is Death and Mayhem. And I think that's really kind of how it all started. I mean, we knew that we were going to go towards the dark side of wrestling, when it came to our personas, because of the way we look. So there was really no other option for us, I guess you could say. And it really is just who we are. It's just us, but meaner, really.
Yeah, they always say your character is like you turned up to 10. So
Right.
there you go.
Yeah. Just more aggression, just meaner you. Really, that's all the character really comes down to.
So you actually you don't say you come from hell, you say you come from purgatory.
Yeah.
So why'd you choose purgatory instead of, the depths of hell or something like that?
I think we felt like hell always goes to Lucifer or Satan, right? So we needed to create something that was just a little bit different, where when there's certain dark images that you think about, obviously the initial thing is going to be hell or anything in that realm. And again, being a huge fan of Supernatural, purgatory was somewhere they went where they weren't necessarily dead, but they weren't necessarily alive. It also kind of goes with, there's an old movie from, I think at least 10 years ago, called Risk Cutters. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a great kind of weird little film, and it's like a romantic something or other, not comedy, but it's got comedic things. So Tom Waits is in it. He's amazing. But for them, purgatory was a place where you weren't necessarily happy, but you weren't necessarily sad. You couldn't smile either. So those are little things that, again, two things that I really enjoy watching, that I've really enjoyed watching, kind of brought into the aspect is, I'm not necessarily the devil. I'm not necessarily Satan. I'm just that in between. I'm not necessarily good, but I'm not really evil. So when you think about the in between of the two, it's always purgatory. And that's really where I think that idea kind of just came from.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you wear white face paint and you come out with different masks. So if you wanted to explain like what the masks were, and sometimes you wear the horns and Lilith to take the horns off. So that's pretty cool.
We've done a lot of different interpretations of the mask or the persona. Before I was injured the first time, I didn't wear the makeup. So when I was gone for about 3-4 months, it was, all right, well, we've got to come back. Obviously we're going to come back, but something's got to be different. We can't be the same people that we were when we were before, right? So at that point we had disbanded the team that we had, which was ourselves and Casey Blackrose, and that was the Cult of Crowley. And so at that point I was like, well, we've got to do something different. So I got together with some friends and we shot a vignette, which you can find it on Instagram. You just have to go down like 2-3 years. And it's the idea is that I was in a hospital because of my injury, and things started to change. Right before I broke my collarbone, I wrestled Matthew Palmer, who's an amazing wrestler. And that's when he was going by his Monster Hunter persona. And we did a part in the match where I drank one of his vials, and it was a red vial, thinking that it was going to do what it did to somebody who had wrestled prior and make me really strong. Well, what it ended up doing was poisoning me. And so we played that into the change that happened within. So in that match, I go into the ring, I come out, and I've got my one black eye, and then I've got a red eye. So something you might notice in some matches is I'll change one of the eyes depending on what color gear I'm wearing as well. The makeup was, kind of goes into the insanity plea. When you go crazy, you start doing things that you typically wouldn't do. So with the makeup, it was letting this demon that I've kept in for so long and letting it out. The big thing with the mask is Lilith created these masks, these different variations of masks that keep that demon in. So once I'm in the ring and the mask is removed, it gets let out. So whoever's in front of me is at the mercy of said demon. So there's a lot, again, you know, you have to think about all the little backstories when you're going to do different things. You know, I tried doing the no makeup for a little while, but it just didn't really feel like it went with the story that we've been telling over the last, you know, 3 or 4 years. So I've recently brought it back again, just to kind of continuing in that evolution of Crowley and Lilith and just everything overall.
So a lot of times you come out with black gear, but sometimes you have white gear, and then you talked about different contacts. You have the little like white bluish one.
Yeah.
What does that all represent too?
I think that's there's two reasons I do that. It's gonna bring out a different part of the demon or the demons that are within. I also really like to match. It's like one of my OCD things. So most of the time, because I make our gear, when I make myself something new, I usually will make her something new. So that was more of that aspect. Now I don't do it often. It really it's gonna be for a special match. You know, I got to wrestle Chris Marvel, who's our coach and one of our closest friends. And for my match with him, I debuted all gold gear. So I had a gold eye. When I was, you know, lucky enough to do the Indie Showcase, the New Texas Indie Showcase, I wore all white gear. And so I wore a white eye and I had a white mask. And so a lot of that is just my mental OCD telling me, hey, you have to match everything with everything. And so I listen.
Color coordination, got it.
Yeah.
I'd probably be like that too. I'd be like, I have to match.
Yeah, you know, it's when you've got the resources and not as much time as you'd like, but you still have a little bit of free time, you kind of just make things work.
Yeah, you just said you make your gear and you make Lilith's gear and you make gear for some other wrestlers. How'd you get into gear making?
So when the lockdown happened, you know, we were locked down in Texas for about 3 months. 2 months. And there was really nothing to do. It was watch Netflix, eat, drink, sleep. You know, it was 2 months of just sitting around, not being able to go to the gym. I had some Muay Thai stuff that I could do at home, like some I had my Muay Thai bag for, you know, strikes and like bands for weightlifting or whatever, but that got really boring. And so she actually knew how to sew. She was taught by her mother. So one day I just said, hey, I want to learn how to sew. And she taught me and I just became obsessed. It's one of those things where I can just hyper focus and just anything that could be bothering me or anything that is kind of just on my brain that I just don't want to think about or that I don't want to deal with, or like just life, you know, things get overwhelming at times. So I know I can go in there and I can sew and I can just listen to music and it's just kind of like my peaceful place. And then I get mad at other things like the machine not working, you know, so the frustration just changes to a different theme. But the really cool thing about our stuff is, you know, we've done stuff for guys like Alex Zane. We've touched up some stuff for Trey Miguel. We actually did gear for Karrion Kross. So the very first action figure that WWE dropped of him has our gear on it, which is really cool. And we've done gear for a lot of really awesome wrestlers and most of the people at Hybrid as well, back when we were making gear for a lot of those guys. But now we mainly just make our own stuff, or I mainly make our own stuff.
I don't make anything.
You know. So yeah, it's just fun. It's something different to do, something that's relaxing yet stressful at the same time.
Yeah, Lilith was like, here, I taught you, you do it.
He went way further than I ever thought he would with the talent that he created. So I let him go. I'm like, you do it, babe.
That's all you. Yeah, Carrie, I have that figure actually, and Carrion signed it. I went to Dallas for WrestleCon.
Okay.
And he signed it, so it's
Awesome.
hanging in my room. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah,
and Scarlett, they're side by side.
Oh, that's
Scarlett
awesome.
signed it
Yeah.
too. So
I gotta ship mine. I gotta reach out because when it first came out, he's like, "Yeah, ship it to me and I'll sign it." I just never did, so I gotta like reach out and have him sign it. But yeah,
So, Kathy, here's what you do now. Bit of advice. All right, you actually go ahead and get that. If you really, I'm so sorry to cut you first off. You get that same figure. You have Crowley sign it, and now you're not. Yes, you're probably one of many thousands of fans that have Karrion Kross's signature on that figure. But now you're the one of one fan that has Crowley's signature on that figure because his gear is on that figure. I'm just saying.
yeah. Unless everybody watches this podcast and they go do what you just said, then everybody will have it.
That was made back when we were both doing it. So for a stint of how many months until I became obsessed with sewing, we both would do it together. So she did the actual sewing and I did a lot more of like the designing and heat pressing and stuff. So you have to get both to sign it.
Well, there you go. I mean, see, you get all three. You get the person who's the actual figure and the people who actually made the gear. Just saying.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat. So you kind of answered my next question there. You talked about Muay Thai. You do a lot of kicks and a lot of knees in your arsenal. So you've had martial arts training, I take it.
Yeah, I did a little bit of it in my younger years. And then again, another thing, like once the pandemic happened, I was just locked up at home. So I really got into it even heavier than I like already was. So I bought everything I needed to just do it at home. And, you know, that was the great thing about Amazon. It was still working. So I bought DVDs and I bought the bag, and my buddy sold me his like Century Bob. So I've been lucky enough to, you know, when I had a lot of free time to really work on that. And that's where I got a lot of my kicks and my knees from, and forearms, just back elbows, all of that, just from, you know, learning in that aspect.
Yeah, they're pretty lethal too.
Thank you.
Watching those knees and those kicks. Like,
yeah.
Feel bad for your opponents.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to keep him fairly safe. I think I've only given one concussion. So that's one in 4 years. So you can't really be mad.
There you go. You gotta do at least one, right? Kind of break in there a little bit. Unfortunately, you know, accidents happen though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was definitely an accident.
So you mentioned you've been wrestling for 4 years. You've had and have about 6 championships in 4 years. So that's nothing to sneeze about there.
Yeah,
including 2 heavyweight titles.
Yeah, right. That's the crazy part, because I'm not even a heavyweight. Yeah, I've had about 6 titles now. I've dropped all of them except for the PPW title. And now my next goal is going to be the one title that I haven't gotten, which is the tag title. So I've got some things that I'm planning out to hopefully get to that goal.
Awesome. Yeah, what we were talking about earlier before, when Izzy wasn't the gutter snake, he was the part, you know, the unholy. He basically was a cult. Like y'all would have been a badass tag team.
Doing great. Yeah, we were. I think we were joking around for a while. And I think we were talking about naming it the Handsome Devils. Yeah, we thought it just went great. I think I might even still have a picture of us from that time. From just that was like way back. Yeah, I'll have to send it to you so you can see it.
That would be awesome. Yeah, it might still work. You could be like, I don't know, the Church of Gutter Snakes. I don't know. It might work. I don't know. He's got a punk theme now. You have, you got kind of rock and roll devil type
Right.
thing. It could work,
We can make
maybe.
it work.
So some of the matches, talking about opponents, I was going through some of your matches. You had one for Branded Outlaw last November. You actually wrestled T-Ray
Yes.
in one of his last matches because T-Ray is retired.
Yeah, I was
So
his second.
how was that?
It was great. It was, that match meant so much to me because I've known Chi-Ray since I've been in the industry. And to be able to be one of his last matches was just an amazing feeling. And there really aren't words to put on how much it meant to me to finally share a one-on-one, because I did a foray with him. It was me, him, Dimitri, and Stevie, and that was so much fun. So I was really excited when Clinton was able to make this match happen for me right before, because he had messaged me earlier in October and he was like, "Hey, I'm retiring. We need to get a 1-1. What are your open dates?" And I'm like, "Well, these are my only 2 open dates." And he was like, "Well, that doesn't work." And so I was able to, we were able to make that work with Brandon Outlaw right before his last match with Danny Orion. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't know he was retiring. Like, I saw it on Instagram. It said, like, his last match, I'm retired. I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't think he told a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know.
But, sometimes you have to Irish goodbye, because if not, people are going to try to keep you in and, staying. So he did what he had to do.
Yeah, knowing him, not telling anybody, he probably had to do it that way, like you said, because he'd probably be like, okay, I'll do one more match. Like, everybody loves T-Ray.
Yeah, exactly.
So another match I saw, you were in a big chop fest with Lowrider. I was like, man, look at them go.
Yeah, that was painful. Yeah, he was another great opponent I've had. I think my match with him was one where I was able to pull out a more physical version of myself than I've pulled out before. She says it's still one of my best matches. And it was because we were hitting. It was painful. So anybody that has to share with the ring with him, I wish them good luck.
Yeah, Lowrider is loco. He's pretty crazy. I've seen a couple of his matches. I've been there and I've seen it. And when he goes into the crowd, and you better move, because he will throw people into the crowd, into your chair.
Yeah.
So you have to hurry up too, because he'll hurry up and do it. So
oh yeah,
it's like, move now, like right now.
You got to be 2 steps ahead.
Yep. Yeah, that match that you had with him was crazy. Like, you went in the ring, y'all chopped each other, went out the ring, chopped each other, went back in the ring, chopped each other some more. It was pretty nuts.
Trust me, that's a match I'll never forget.
Then there was another match he kind of mentioned, the Texas Indie Showcase last July, which I was supposed to go, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But that was a bummer. But that was a pretty interesting match, because that match, you were all champions.
Yeah.
And yours wasn't a title belt, though. It was a ring. So
yeah.
that was pretty interesting, too.
Yeah, it was the Lord of the Ring for WAW, and Adam was a champion for them, and Kane was Adam's still a champion for them. Adam was the workhorse champion. Yeah, and it was, I think the stipulation was whoever won the match got to be the main event at the following show. So that was really amazing, and it was great to be able to do it with 2 really incredible guys, especially a guy like Adam. That was my second match I've had with Adam, and his brain is just something else, and his athleticism and his just stamina in the ring is incredible. Anybody that gets to share the ring with that man is just extremely lucky. And I'm glad I've been twice as lucky to do it. That was actually that match. We had a small freak accident before, and I broke my ulna before the match. So I wrestled that match with a partially broken arm. I just taped it up, wrestled, came home, showed her. She said, "Yep, that's broken," and got surgery 3 days later.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Did you feel like a little kid? Like you had to go up to, I broke my arm. Like, did Lilith get mad?
Yeah,
Of course I got mad.
Yeah, I texted her before I left, I think, and I was like, "I got hurt. Don't be mad."
That was one of the first shows I did that I wasn't involved in. So that was already a weird place because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then he said, I got hurt. Don't be mad. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, it's taped. It's fine. Then he got here and he goes, see? And his arm moved when it's not supposed to. And I said, that's broken.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to go to the ER. They gave me a splint. Saw my doctor on Monday. He's x-rayed it. Yep, it's broken, and just did surgery. And I think I was back in the ring 2 weeks later with a cast.
Yeah, the show must go on, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Must, yeah.
Yep. Don't ever say don't get mad, because she's gonna get mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I get real mad.
Yeah.
Lilith has nothing on me.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. So another match that I missed Lilith there. She wasn't at that one. This past Saturday, All Fury Pro. I actually finally got to watch you wrestle in person.
Yeah.
Finally did it.
That was great.
And that match was awesome. It was actually, a dream match. If you know all three of you, it was a test of faith match between you, Dimitri, and Father Ode.
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was great. That's again my second time wrestling Dimitri. The first time was in that 4-way with T-Ray. So I was really excited for this one. I hadn't shared the ring with Father Ode, but I've seen his work and I thought he was amazing, and I think he did fantastic in our match. I'll share the ring with either of those anytime.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I do have to ask though. Now, Ringside Society sponsored you in that match, and there's a part in there where Father Ode, he asks for donations.
Yeah. And
you gave him a donation. Was that you didn't give our sponsorship money away, did you?
No, that was other money. That was pants money. It was in my trunks money.
Pants money.
Yeah, it was pants money. Yeah.
Okay.
That was fun.
I even said that too during the match. I was like, we sponsored him. He's giving away our money.
No, that was other money.
I mean, he gave the money to a father, so I mean, you can't really get upset.
But then,
if it's a father, he's probably going to give it to his family, and afterwards. So you can't really get upset with the guy. I mean, I'm just saying.
Dimitri stole half of that anyway. So in reality, he only got half of what I gave him.
Well, you're supposed to give like 10%. So I was like, there's Alexander giving his 10%,
Yeah.
It's whatever. Now, the last thing I was going to talk about before I turn it over to Remy, you have a fan that, and actually Remy's in London right now, but you have a fan called Kid Goth Panda Martinez.
Yes.
Every day he tweets he or she, I'm not sure who it is, but wants you to go to the UK, and it's been over 100 days. I think it's like 109 today.
Yeah, it's like 106.
Some crazy number like that. He or she tweets every day that they want you in the UK. Yes. So what do you think about that?
Has been very persistent about that. The funny part is one of the companies keeps liking it, and we follow each other. We just haven't spoken. Yeah, so I got in contact with her because she's friends with Kid Bandit. And so that's how she found me. And then I've wrestled Eddie Martinez, who she's also another big fan of. So that's kind of how it all culminated. Like everything just kind of came together. And that's been her thing for the last 100 and some days, is her and her partner both want me out there to wrestle, which would be great. There's a lot of really great talent out there. And we've been to London when we used to travel with hair. We were actually the first 2 Americans to main stage at Salon International in the UK. So yeah, it was a great time. So yeah, we would love to go back there just because we have a lot of friends out there that we met in that time frame. So we'd love to see them and catch up, and then have them watch us do something completely different than what we did when we were there the first time.
Could have tucked y'all in Remy's suitcase, and
Yeah, right.
I mean, he's in London right now, so
I think it goes through X-ray. So
yeah, that might not have worked.
Either he goes to jail, or we go to jail, or all 3 of us go to jail.
He's gonna show us his suitcase, I guess. Look.
I don't know how you fit into this, but if you could do that, then hey.
I probably
yeah.
Some of us could, but I think I'm not sure you could. She's not very tall. Yeah.
Well, before I turn it over to Remy, I want to say thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you. Guys.
Always wanted you guys to come on, and when I saw you at All Fury Pro and I said my name, you gave me like the biggest hug, like the light bulb went off. Gave me the biggest hug. So that was pretty awesome. I'm glad we finally met, and I finally got to see you wrestle, and hopefully down the road I can see Lilith there too at a wrestling event. Yeah. And wish y'all nothing but the best, and hope you get championship gold again.
Yeah,
I mean, you've had 6 titles already, but keep on chipping away at it and add some more.
Oh, we will. There's one more match you got to watch. You'll find it on the Hybrid School of Wrestling page, and it was from my first year, and it was when I got to wrestle Trey Miguel. That one's another really great match, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's an oldie but a goodie.
I'll definitely have to look forward to it. I'm gonna have to find it.
Yeah.
All right, Remy.
Awesome. Crowley, Lilith, thank you very much for taking time out of your schedules to be guests on our show. We really and truly do appreciate it. Wait, Kath, did you say you gave our money to Father Odie, or was it Alexander? My thing was kind of going in and out here.
So I made a joke. We sponsored Ringside Society sponsored Alexander for the All Fury show, and in the match, Dimitri and Alexander give money to Father Ode.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, "Did you give away our sponsorship?" But he said no. He already had the money. So
yeah, my audio was going in and out, but. I mean, he gave it to a father, so the guy obviously needed it. Maybe the guy has, 7 kids at home to feed. You never know. I mean, or he's a father. Maybe he has a church to, look after. So, I mean, it's okay if he gave it to a father. It could be worse. Could have given it to the Repo Man or something. I mean, old school reference, wrestling reference there. But thank you very much, for taking time out of your busy schedules to be on our show. We really and truly appreciate it. It was great having y'all on. Y'all just name drop some people, like, because it's funny, because I just saw Gothic Panda on Twitter. I'm like, okay, Gothic Panda, if you want to be a guest on our show, we have a special segment called 15 Minutes of Fandom. Hit us up, we'll make it happen. But we've had Eddie Martinez and Kid Bandit on here. And all great people as well. So yeah, very small world. But we wish y'all nothing but the best. Hopefully WWE actually hires y'all as, if not as wrestler and manager, hopefully as hairstylist, because hey, at least you're still with a great company, regardless of what the of what the capacity is. It's still a great company to be a part of. And we wish y'all nothing but the best in y'all's careers. And I hope y'all get to travel the world and get to pretty much get to enjoy wrestling, as you should. So thank you very much for doing this work. And before we shut this show down, where can fans find y'all on social media when they want to find out where your next appearances are, purchase Crowley and Lilith merchandise, and where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows? And also, where can fellow wrestlers find y'all when they want to get gear made as well too? Because your gear makes as well too. So might as well throw that in there.
Yeah, they can visit our website called it's called churchofcrowley.com. On there, they'll be able to find bios on each of us. They'll be able to see what shows are coming up. There's a contact page where they can shoot us a message with any questions, whether it's here or whether it's booking. On the bio.
All of our socials.
Yeah, the bios in there have links to all of our socials. So that's going to be the one-stop shop. There's a merch page on there that will lead you to our Teespring, where they can find all our shirts. So that's the one place to go.
Awesome. So y'all definitely heard. Definitely check out Church of Crowley. That's where everything is. Check them out. Bookers, promoters. You've heard them. They're ready. They're able. Definitely give these two a shot. Fans, support indie wrestling. If you can't make the shows that they're at, that's another way you can actually support them, is by purchasing the merchandise. That's the way you can support indie wrestling as a whole, is by showing your love and purchasing the merchandise that these men and women provide as well too. So with that being said, we just want to thank everybody tuning in live tonight. Thank you very much. It's about that time. My eyes are getting heavy. That means it's time for bed. Maybe a midnight snack. I don't know. But before I partake in those activities, Kathy Knight, the Money Penny to my James Bond, and the Tennille to my Captain. Where can fans find you on social media when they want to talk wrestling? All things Becky Lynch, Paige, or look at me calling it one page, Saraya Knight, and Good Things, Louisiana, eating and all that.
So you can you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Discord, all at BLUE70517.
Awesome. Rob Bass, the Mel Gibson to my Danny Glover, and the Riggs to my Murtaugh. Where can fans find you on social media when they want to talk wrestling, purchase Rob Bass merchandise, and where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows?
You can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, Rob_Base82, Facebook, Rob Base, and also 1CW. You can catch us at DelmarvaSportsNetwork.com every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And we also made it to prime time. You can also catch us at Delmarva Sports Network Monday night, 9 a.m. So, we're like Deion Sanders. We prime time, baby. Our next show is February 3rd. Bobby Fish will be there. He's doing a seminar. So, if you're a wrestler or anything like that, you want to learn from somebody, Bobby Fish is going to be there. And I wonder if he is going to fly fish. I want to ask him. Maybe we'll have fish and chips.
Yeah.
And we'll also 1CW. We'll be at WrestleMania Philadelphia, WrestleMania weekend. So definitely check us out for that. And all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm still curious as to how many fish could he fish if he could fry fish. I'm definitely gonna find out that theory one of these days, and then I'm gonna make sure I have body armor on. Because I know he's a dangerous bat with the martial arts.
Oh yeah, I'll ask him next week. I'll see how much fish. I'll try and get a picture of us eating fish and chips.
Yes. Oh, my man. Thanks for reminding me. Fish and chips. I'm actually in London. Got to get that. So yeah, 1CW. Check them out if you're in Delaware or any of the surrounding areas. Definitely check them out. Great company. Lots of impressive men and women there. Check them out. You will not be bored, and you never know who's going to show up at those events. Now, if you want to follow me on social media, not that I say a lot of cool things, but I do go to a lot of cool places. And I'm in London right now. Could you believe that? You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, at @TheRemyBlue. As a matter of fact, if you check it out right now, you'll see a beautiful story of the London Eye, which I was just at an hour ago. So definitely check me out there. I'm also on Facebook under the alias Remy Blue. Our podcast is also on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram at Ringside Society, Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're on Facebook as a Facebook group. We're also on Teespring, where we sell official Ringside Society merchandise. We're also on Spotify. And last but not least, we're also on YouTube, where you can see cool interviews like this one, like the one we had with Insidious Sid Mars, the one we had with Izzy, and many other great men and women in the world of professional wrestling. All those interviews you can find on YouTube. And it's really simple just to find them. All you got to do is go on YouTube, type in Ringside Society. And once you see that really good-looking dark blue and light blue yin yang sound, the blue films are. Kathy, please do not touch that sound like that. You're making me weird. You're making it weird. That's when you know. That's when you know it's. That's when you know that it's us. So make sure you subscribe to all our videos because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and you don't want to miss a thing like Aerosmith in 1998. As a matter of fact, Rob, should I tell him? Kathy, should I tell him who we have next week?
Hey, in my LA night voice. Yeah.
All right, so next week, mark it on your calendars. I believe it's February 1st, Thursday, 9 o'clock p.m. for all my East Coast people. West Coast people is going to be 6 o'clock p.m. for y'all. We're going to be having wrestling veteran, I believe it's 20-year wrestling veteran, Missy Sampson, owner of Bell to Bell, the all-women's wrestling promotion that's having their first show in New Jersey. She'll be on our show talking to us about her career, and now not just as a pro wrestler, but now as a pro wrestling promoter. She'll be on there Thursday, February 1st, 9 o'clock p.m. So make sure you mark that down because it's going to be a very interesting interview. So with that being said, we just want to thank everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're one of the best wrestling podcasts. We're going to own up to it. We're one of the best wrestling podcasts a wrestling fan could, should, and would listen to. And we're not going to stop being that. It's not going to end anytime soon. So those of y'all that are listening later on, we get a chance. Thank you very much in advance. And those of y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we go away. Well, like myself at a Golden Corral, or let's say a buffet of any over here in England, and like Kathy Knight at Cafe Du Monde for the buy one get one special, buy one get one free special, and Rob Bass at a taco festival. We're not going anywhere for a while.
They hate us because they ain't us.
And we ain't stopping, man. I gotta lay off the caffeine. So, with that being said, we just want to let everybody know that we're very well, and that we're everybody and their grandparents and the parents of a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. We're definitely not just any podcast. Hashtag we are not the same. So, with that being said, Rob Bass, Kathy Knight, one time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, one time for the ever so impressive wrestling scene in Texas, and one time for the leader of the Crowley congregation, Alexander Crowley, and the mother of mayhem, Lilith.
Woo!
What type of podcast are we?
All right. 3, 2, 1.
We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast.
That's right. We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. We'll be back next Thursday. As a matter of fact, no, pause. We'll actually be back this Saturday with our Royal Rumble predictions. But until then, we just have 4 favors for y'all. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and enjoy wrestling. We out. Peace.
See y'all. Good night. Stay classy, Delaware.
Let the good times roll, Louisiana.